Jimbo said yesterday that at some point while you were in Tuscaloosa, he was going to beat your butt. That wasn't the word that he used, but did you have any response for that?
In golf?
I think he meant on the football field.
Well, I'm sure there'll come a day, you know.
Let's go! Right here in the middle of the damn field! Let's bring it down, Tigers on 3! Hell yeah! Because this is our house from now on!
Yes, sir!
Tigers on 3! 1, 2, 3, Tigers!
But I'm going to tell you this, we ain't done yet.
I got to ask you about the message on your shirt.
My favorite holiday of the year, I guess, and, so just, someone gave me a shirt, and Merry Christmas, they spelled it wrong, so, it was free.
Coach, it's a great day for you, huh?
That's it's better than average, I'll tell you that. We played LSU because, New England, Green Bay, and the Chiefs had somebody scheduled.
You know what we're going to do, though? We've got to quickly call the Hogs for the race back.
Big Tone! Turn that
The fact you're dressed as Darth Vader, do you feel like you were somewhat of a villain in this fight? I mean, you charged out on the field pretty hard.
I'm trying to get our players off the field, because I know we have a big game next week.
All I want to do is fucking eat! I want you to eat! I want you to eat! I want you to want this shit! Do you want it? Do you want it? Show me!
Oh, welcome in to the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter, and I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What are you up to, you big Tennessee homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Hey, sounds like you're in a cave, brother. What's going on?
Sounds like I'm in the shitter, Mike. But
I didn't want to say that, but yep.
No, I just got moved into the podcast studio here. Still got some sound stuff I got to work out, so it's going to sound a little echoey here, but just hang in there. This is just one step closer to YouTube, baby.
Absolutely, and that's what we're all waiting for. So, hey, I screwed up the video edit yesterday. I'm sure everybody noticed. So, lesson for anybody out there with a camera: make sure autofocus is when that's turned on. Make sure it's focused on the right part of what it's supposed to be. It was focused on one of the damn helmets on the table. I have no idea why, but yeah. So, like I said, we're still in training camp mode over here. We hope to be in shape, ready for the season by the time it gets here. You know what?
Yeah, well, after about 10 beers, that's what it looks like to me, Mike.
Well, hey, buddy, we got a great show here. Want to finish the week strong, and, Coach O got a question here. We got to some of his other comments here, but this is kind of how I wanted to open the show. He was asked about the Week 1 game against UCLA, so let's cut to that real quick, and that'll lead into our show topic here.
Yeah, I've got two. Ed Daniels wanted me to ask you. The Texas game and the Miami game were so important to getting off to a good start in 18-19. How important does that make the UCLA game?
I look at it the same way. I haven't talked to the team about it. It's on the road, unknown team. We're an unknown team. We know what we have, but we got to go out and prove it. We got to be hungry. And, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be at their house. They have some great athletes on their football team. It's the first time we've gone out to Los Angeles with our football team, so it's going to have to be a business trip. There's going to be some obstacles that we have to overcome during the game. Obviously, it's our first game together. They'll play the game. It's the first time we play with our quarterback. We have to take care of the football, but I think we'll be ready. Our guys are going to be fired up, ready to go.
All right, Shane. So I really wanted to play that clip because it gave me this inspiration for this idea. But I have went down the entire SEC list of all 14 teams, and I'm ready to name the most important game on the schedule the first month of the season. How's that sound?
Oh, man, this is what I signed up for, Mike. Let's roll with it.
Okay, so no doubt, we got to go with what Coach O said right there. I think he's absolutely right. Week 1. On the road at UCLA. And I know at the end of the month they play Mississippi State. Of course, that'll be far more important when you're talking impact on the SEC schedule. But, just given the way last season went for LSU, I know it finished on a strong note, but that's got to carry over to the season opener. And, I don't want to compare this. It's not exactly like Kevin Sumlin at the end of his tenure there at A&M, but of course they went on the road to UCLA, and I believe it was like the biggest comeback ever. The Bruins won in the fourth quarter, and it was just, that was the end. They didn't fire Kevin Sumlin that weekend, but they might as well have, because I believe they fired him about a month, two later. So not saying that Coach O is going to lose his job if he loses his game, but there's not really anyone on the hot seat, if you ask me, in the SEC. But if Coach O were to find a way for LSU to lose this opener, I think he's the prime candidate to be on that hot seat in the SEC, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think what you said earlier hit the nail on the head. It's just a team that last year started out so bad, and once you go into a next season, it's like, does it carry over? Because if it carries over, a slow start, it's understandable when you have COVID and it's all SEC scheduling, but this is a game you're supposed to win, and it's a game that you're not supposed to have any problems with. So the fact that you go out and you do, then there's going to be a lot of people, and myself included, going to be talking about Coach O potentially on a hot seat. And I know that's crazy coming off 2 years ago, a national championship, but that's the expectations in Baton Rouge right now.
Yeah, the Coach O haters are already out there comparing him to Gene Chizik. So we've got to squash that immediately week 1 against UCLA. Now, Alabama, their biggest game of the opening month, in my opinion. We're all excited about the opener there in Miami, but we also know the Crimson Tide are going to beat the hell out of the Hurricanes. So for me, it's week 3 on the road against the Florida Gators. I think Dan Mullen's squad is the ultimate wild card this year in the SEC. So thoughts on that? Alabama's biggest game there. And I certainly think it's Florida's biggest game as well, hosting Alabama. That's an opportunity to, everybody's picking Georgia in the East. If somehow Florida finds a way to pull off the miracle upset here at home in the Swamp, that narrative changes in a hurry. So I think for both these teams, that's an easy answer. Alabama at Florida week 3. What are your thoughts on that?
So you're picking both Alabama, both Florida on this one right here. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it's also the first road game for Bryce Young. So we got to see what this guy can do in a hostile environment.
Man, I know it's going to sound like a lot of work, Mike, but not a lot of people got their schedules pulled up. Is there any way you could tell me? Because a lot of people, first thing are saying, what about the Iron Bowl? But we're talking about the month of September here.
Right.
So we're talking 3-4 games. So can you read the other ones that are on Alabama's list here?
Yeah, absolutely. And the best place to get your schedule, if you don't have one there, thatsecpodcast.com. Head on over. We got every team schedule. We got the entire SEC schedule all in one convenient location. But, of course, Alabama opens the season in Atlanta against Miami on a neutral field. And then week 2, Mercer. Week 3 is the Florida game at Florida, of course. And then week 4, they host Southern Miss. So, again, you're kind of going with Miami or Florida. And if you're telling me you picking Miami or Florida on a neutral field, I'll take Florida by about 3 touchdowns. And the fact that this game is in the Swamp makes it all the more difficult for the Crimson Tide, I think.
And what else does Florida have?
Florida, so they open the season, of course, against FAU at home. Week 2, Florida has... this is interesting. They go on the road, South Florida. It's not often South Florida gets to host an SEC team. And then week 4, Shane, Tennessee in the Swamp. So yeah, I think for Florida, it's no question. It's got to be Alabama.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because Florida Gators want to act like they're there, man.
Right.
And to act like you're there, you got to compete against teams like Alabama. So this is huge for both programs.
All right, Arkansas, Shane, week 2. I think this is a layup. I don't know what you think, but night game already announced, ESPN national television, the Texas Longhorns rolling into Fayetteville. So much attention on this game, and that was before it was announced Texas was heading to the SEC. But in so many ways, this is a statement game for Sam Pittman and his program. Not saying that, if some I would consider it an upset if Texas won that game, but according to the betting line, and if you talk to the Longhorns, they think this is going to be an easy W. So, it's not going to determine, the fate of Sam Pittman's program here, but I think it's huge for the season. And I think you can make the case. The final game there for Arkansas to start the month is Texas A&M, and I know that's a huge game. That's been a thorn in their side. But I guess the way I look at it is, if you lose to Texas, I don't think you're beating Texas A&M. I just don't. Yeah. I don't think you're of that caliber. But if you find a way to win at home against Texas, which I think they will, that gives you a ton of momentum heading into that A&M game, to where maybe you can pull the upset in that one.
Right. Yeah, and obviously, I think I may have went with the Aggies here a couple of years ago, and you think with Texas coming into town, they ain't going to make a big deal of this. This is going to be a massive game. Don't be surprised if game day's not there. What's Arkansas leading up to this? What's their schedule?
So week 1, they've got a cupcake. They've got Rice at home.
Yeah.
And then it's the Texas game.
Oh, my God. So they're going to be undefeated. Don't be surprised if game day's not there, making a big deal of this, because this is a glimpse of the future. So, a lot riding on it. Yes, this is a big one. Marquee game.
Now, Auburn, for me, it's got to be week 3 on the road at Penn State. Everybody and their mother outside of Auburn fans are going to be picking Penn State to win this game. And, even myself included, I've been down on Auburn all off season. That changes in a heartbeat. If you go on the road, you beat old James Franklin on the road. They've already announced it's a whiteout game, so they're getting excited for this. It's very rare that a Big Ten team gets to host an SEC team. So I don't think there's any question here. It's got to be Penn State week 3 on the road for Auburn. So Auburn, they open against Arkansas U, or so. It's not Arkansas. It's kind of weird how on our site it's laid out. Week 2 is Alcorn State, and then Penn State, and then final week Georgia State. So
oh yeah, okay, not even close. All right, yeah, Penn State definitely.
All right, how about this? Ole Miss. This was a tricky one for me. We all anticipate them to smoke Louisville in the opener there in Atlanta, but the rest of the month here, they don't have much. Austin Peay is their week 2 game, and then they have Tulane week 3, and then they get a bye week the final month. So it's got to be Louisville here, don't you think?
Absolutely. But did you see the Tulane grocery store? The wave's coming, baby. So no, definitely going to be Louisville on this one.
All right, how about Mississippi State? You want to talk about a tricky schedule coming out the gate. Mississippi State may have the toughest schedule in the SEC if you just want to talk about no cupcakes here. They open the season against Louisiana Tech, which is a decent team. They'll beat the hell out of them, but still that's a decent game. Second week of the season, NC State, and then third week at Memphis. So these are all interesting games, but for me, it's got to be the one that closes out the month, LSU. You're getting them at home. You beat them last year. Everybody, again, it doesn't matter what happened last year. Everybody's going to be picking LSU to win this game. Here's your opportunity to build some momentum going into the SEC stretch. And so I got to go LSU is the biggest game here for Mississippi State.
Yeah, I think so too. But that Memphis game's I think it's a little bit, I don't know, it hits harder for some of those folks that live there, because there's there's a 3-way tie between Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Memphis. It seems like these guys are trying to decide which university to go to, and this is how you separate, is just smoking them. So that's another one that I've got my eyebrows raised, but I think you're right. Just kind of a revenge game. We just talked about LSU. That's going to be a big game.
Now, Texas A&M, I think this was an easy one. They opened the season here against Kent State. Come on, get out of here. They played Colorado, a little bit tricky. Week 2, that's in Denver on a neutral. Well, they're going to call it a neutral field, but you got to imagine it's probably more Colorado people. New Mexico, week 3. And then so their big game the first month. And this is why a lot of people like the Aggies, because they're going to start 3-0, basically guaranteed. to close out the month, they got Arkansas and Jerry World. So for me, it's got to be Arkansas.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, I do like the first game because they got some. I think they're going to be on a run, man. I think this is a national championship run if the stars align, and that starts week 1 and just kind of setting that tempo. But I'm with you. Closing out the month, it's going to be your toughest opponent.
Now, we already hit on Florida that hosting Alabama week 3. So, again, another easy one, Georgia. I don't really care who's on the schedule, Shane. The most important game's that opener against Clemson in Charlotte, because we're going to find out a lot about both programs here, facing a team that's ranked currently at, I believe, number 2 in the nation, Georgia versus Clemson. That's got to be the answer, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big deal, Mike. This is the year for the Georgia Bulldogs, apparently. Supposedly. That's the rumor. And it starts by beating Clemson and shutting them up so we don't have to hear them, complain about not being in a college football playoff at the end of the year. This one's on you, Bulldogs.
Now, these next two, I'm just grouping them together, Shane, because I think you got to pick each other here. Kentucky, Missouri, biggest game, the first month of the season is the same answer. It's week 2 when Missouri comes to Kentucky. That is the only SEC game, I believe, on the docket that weekend in the SEC. Kentucky opens with ULM. Missouri opens with Central Michigan. And then the following week, they both Kentucky's got Chattanooga. Missouri's got SEMO, Southeast Missouri. I mean, give me a break here. These seasons, I don't want to say they're completely defined by this week 2 game, but man, that was like a crossroads game last year where Kentucky dropped it, and all off season, everybody I talked to associated with Kentucky, they say that was the most devastating loss of the season. That's kind of where the season just kind of went downhill, and Mark Stoops and all the momentum they have at Kentucky, they fall to Missouri for the second year in a row. I think you have to jump Missouri as a better program than Kentucky, and I don't necessarily think that's the case as I'm saying this. But how can you argue it if Missouri in their first 2 years with they're under Connor Bazelak and Eli Drinkwitz, if they go 2-0 against Mark Stoops, I don't see how you can argue it any other way, despite all the progress Kentucky has made in the recent seasons. So this game is absolutely huge, hosting Missouri for Kentucky week 2, don't you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, it sets the tone in the East, because we know it's a Florida-Georgia game, but there's always that third team that gives somebody a fit in the East. And who's it going to be? It's going to be one of these two programs, Mike.
Mm-hmm. Now, here was a tricky one, Shane. South Carolina, a lot of different answers. Obviously, the Eastern Illinois week 1 is, normally, it is a joke. There's a cupcake. They're going to beat the hell out of them, but it's still an important game because we don't know what we're getting from the Gamecocks. Right. And we don't know what we're getting from Shane Beamer, but I couldn't, in good conscience, pick that game. Week 3, you're playing Georgia. That's that has historically been a really good series, but everybody's picking Georgia to win the East. Hardly anyone is picking South Carolina to do anything but finish 5th or 6th in the East, so couldn't pick that game either. Week 4 is epic for South Carolina. They host Kentucky. Could easily make the case for that one. But I think the answer is week 2, Shane, which South Carolina goes on the road to East Carolina. Mm-hmm. And before you say, whoa. I mean, this is a game where, again, we anticipate South Carolina is going to beat the hell out of Eastern Carolina, and they should, and they probably will. But these are the games that trip you up, and maybe I don't want to say ill-prepared because we know they'll come prepared, but, who knows? I mean, this is the type of game where, if you drop it, all that momentum you built all offseason comes to a screeching halt. You got to go on the road. It's such a weird game. It's almost like a trap game there. You got to take care of business against East Carolina and keep this momentum going. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I haven't worried about the Pirates since the 1700s, Mike.
So you going with the Kentucky game?
Yeah, I think because that's always such a good game. That one, but I'm going to tell you, Mike, even less opponent, but week one, no quarterback. What's this South Carolina offense? What's the defense going to look like? There's just so many question marks. Shane Beamer's first. I want to do week one just to see what the program looks like. So if I'm going out of all four of them, obviously Georgia's going to be a huge game, but let's be real, Mike. It's week one for me. I want to see what kind of product we actually have with these Gamecocks.
I got you. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even argue with that. So Tennessee, Shane, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Of course, they open against Bowling Green. That'll, all indications are Bowling Green's a complete joke, so I couldn't go with that one.
Yeah.
They do play Florida week 4, and we know historically that's been such a great game, but given the fact that the Gators own the Vols, I couldn't pick that one. I think the biggest game for Tennessee, week 2, you're hosting Pitt, and I don't know. To me, Shane, this just feels like, every 3-4 years we got a new Tennessee coach, and it seems like there's a game early in their career that, it's unfair to say defines it, but you either get the fan base rallied behind you or they just completely are like, what the hell, this guy can't coach. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm already seeing it right here. Tennessee fans got no respect for Pitt, nor should they. I don't even know what league they're in anymore. Are they in the ACC? Are they in the Big East? I don't know, but who cares? You cannot let a team like that come into Neyland Stadium and walk out with a W. If Josh Heupel is as good a coach as they say he is, he'll find a way to coach up the Vols to get this win. I think week 2 is just huge for the Vols.
I think it's huge because it's going to be a game that they have to make a bowl, man. I think Tennessee's going to be a bubble team. I expecting good things from them, but this isn't a program you can go ahead and circle wins and losses and, anticipate the game against the Gators. This is when you got to go week to week. I would almost circle Bowling Green to see what they're going to do, but I'm with you. The Johnny Majors Bowl, I think this thing's been dubbed. Pitt is a big one. We've got to have that game if we're going to play. We're going to play in the off season.
Now, last but not least here, Vanderbilt. This was a tricky one for me. Could go many different ways. They opened the season at home against ETSU. Should beat the hell out of them. Week 3, they host Stanford. Could maybe go with that one. And then week 4, they host Georgia. So all these games, they got their story points. But for me, it's got to be week 2. They go on the road to Colorado State. And I know Colorado State is, we don't really respect them on this show, but that's why Vanderbilt's got to go out there and take care of business, set the tone, say, I think under Derek Mason, this is a game you lose. And you got to set the tone. I don't care who's on your roster, saying this is a new Vanderbilt. We're not going to be the same old, sad sacks that lose to freaking Colorado State. I think week 2, I think that game is huge for the Commodores. What do you think?
What was week 1?
Week 1, they got ETSU at home.
Man, I could argue that one, Mike. I just think this is another program. Like you said, they're creating a new story.
Right.
This is a new chapter for the Vanderbilt Commodores, and I think I'm going to go week 1. I know ETSU's a lesser program, and I don't want to say that's my neighbors over here. I'm not bashing them or anything like that, but this is a team that, if you are in the SEC, should not be competition. So I think Vanderbilt needs to come out and just, I don't know, set their tone, set the pace of what's Vanderbilt going to look like in the future. So give me week 1 ETSU.
Well, Shane, just sitting here spieling about these games gets me fired up, gets the blood going here, and just gives you an indication of what we've got the next month or so coming our way. You know what?
That's right, man. We're not talking about 4 or 5 months from now. We're talking about here in a couple of weeks, these boys are going to face off. So I love it.
Well, speaking of that, brother, you ready to go around the league?
Let's do it.
Now let's go around the league.
My daughters said something about me wearing a visor and need to put on a hat because I'm getting bald. So I'm going to wear a hat from here on out.
I mean, if you look over the next 6 years, I think we played Miami 3 times, Florida State 6 times, South Florida 3 times, Mississippi State once. So who's the SEC teams? I think it's an injustice for the kids. We should mix those games up, and you should played more teams from the West.
Why don't you start calling around and see if you can get somebody else to play us, and we'll play them. We'll play anybody you can get to play us.
At Louisiana, hold on a second.
Hey, guys! Hey! I'm having a press conference, okay? Thank you.
All right, so right before we hopped on the line here, Shane, we'll start here on Rocky Top. Brian Maurer officially in the transfer portal, no surprise. And, this has been about a week since he stopped practicing with Tennessee. And, I wish the kid will. I don't want to, given his history, I don't want to sit here and bash him. But I think him leaving Tennessee probably, I shouldn't say does more good than bad, but because you always want quarterback depth. But it's just a distraction that's kind of gone. And now we've got the three quarterbacks we can push forward with, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, I don't want to bash either, but he's a very social kid, and every move that he's made, he's been able to put on Instagram. So you don't need that with a new, it's just a new page. We got three quarterbacks back there competing now. The quarterback room, you'd like to have at least four, but it sounds like it's pretty healthy competition back there.
Yeah, and when you got a new coach, almost more important than winning on the field. I almost said more important, but it's not more important than winning. But I think the second most important thing with a new staff is just getting everybody pulling in the same direction. And it could just be one player, because that will transfer to other players if they start seeing it. If everybody's not bought in, if everybody's not going with what the new coach is saying, you're just setting yourself up for disaster. So I think at the end of the day, I think this potentially is good news for the Vols. And last thing, I just thought this was great, Shane. Their transfer linebacker, Juwan Mitchell, of course, from Texas. He was their leading tackler down there with the Longhorns. He was asked about coming to the SEC, or excuse me, about Texas coming, and I just thought this was the greatest comment we've got here to share today.
Juwan, why did you pick Tennessee, and how has the transition been so far here at Knoxville?
Well, I really picked Tennessee because of the coaching staff, the conference. A lot went into it, but the transition been smooth. I love the versatility of how offenses are ran. I've been watching some film. I pretty much look at the SEC like the Big 12 and Big 10 combined. So,
what's it like now with the thought of Texas possibly joining the league that you just came to?
No, I'm proud of them. They should. They want to come over here just like I do. So, it's a lot of talent at Texas, and one of the reasons I'm showing it as well that we could ball as well. So, them coming over, it'll definitely help them a lot to get drafted where they need to and just play on a national level.
All right, Shane, so how about it? I mean, even he knows, man. I mean, he came to Tennessee to play on the big stage, and he's proud of his former college for stepping up to the plate and coming to the SEC just like him.
That's right. They saw him hit the portal, so they decided to.
All right, Shane, let's jump it all down next to Baton Rouge, where we already heard from Coach O. He gave us that idea for the first month of the season games there, but a lot more going on down there in Baton Rouge because we've got guys banged up. We've already lost Miles Brennan. Derek Stingley's been banged up. Eli Ricks has been banged up. Now they got offensive linemen banged up. I mean, there's a lot to like about LSU, but at the same time, there's a lot to – I'm kind of scared. I picked them to win the West. You know what I mean? They are the ultimate boom or bust, and nothing that happens in training camp aside from injuries is truly going to define how successful or not you are in the season. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on the Tigers as we're about 2 weeks out from the opener?
Limping in, it kind of has that vibe to it. But, I mean, show me a program that doesn't have injuries right now, Mike. I think, the only reason we're talking about LSU is because we're expecting them to compete. Nobody's really talking about the injuries of Vanderbilt. Nobody's talking about the injuries of some of these other programs because they're not the top dogs right now. Mm-hmm. I guarantee if they were, they would be talking about it. So I'm not too worried, but it sounds like Coach O is going to ease up a little bit on practice.
Yeah, so let's kick it over to him, he gives an update on Derek Stingley, one of the most important players. And I love these comments about Kayshon Boutte, just a sophomore. Sounds like he's really stepping up his leadership. And while he does get on, he talks about the injuries here, I really like his first answer when asked, what are you most concerned about there?
love that name.
Hey, Ed, just to get some of the housekeeping out of the way, was any update on the status of Stingley or Davis Price, some of those banged up guys?
Yes. David, tired. Ran yesterday, man. Had some good plays. Came in yesterday, had some good plays, had some good runs. Kind of tweaked it again today. It's something that we got to monitor out the whole year. Derek's doing fine. I think that I think we're gonna lay off of him next week. I think the week after he should be fine, and I think that he's gonna be 100% there, and we won't have to worry about re-aggravating it.
What have you seen from Kayshon Boutte, and are there any veteran wide receivers who have kind of stood out so far this year?
Yeah, I see leadership from Kayshon. I see a very good connection with Max and Garrett. I think that him and John Trey and Jure are leading this team. Not only the wide receivers, the team. And I told the team the other day, it's very important in order for us to be a championship team that our best players practice the best. And there's no question, I can tell you, Kayshon is practicing the best. And he's being the leader right out there. He's into it. He comes talk to me a lot of things. He's coaching the young guys. All those young guys are coming along. Every one of them has their day. This is one of the best group of skilled freshmen that we've had here, and I think all of them are going to get a chance to prove themselves.
What are you worried about right now? You got a good couple weeks to figure it out still. You want to tip your hand to me?
Yeah. Pork chocks for then. I'm worried about eating too many. That's the only thing I worry about. No, but seriously, Mike, is we have some injuries, especially on the offensive line. I got to keep them healthy, and you have to push. You get at a point right now. You have to push, and you have to be out in the elements, and we have to scrimmage. But we got to get our guys game ready also, and it's a fine line. And you at that point of cap where as a coach, you want to be hard and you want to push them, but you want to be smart and pull off at the right time. So I think it's a fine line. I do believe that tomorrow we're going to be all in helmets. Today, we hit 2 days in a row. I'm going to give them a break tomorrow. I'm going to give them a break Friday. I'm going to see how healthy we are on Saturday, see how the number of plays that we can go, and maybe limit the type of scrimmages that may cause injuries to offensive line, like goal line, short yardage, and limit those guys. Maybe just have teach periods then and just adjust to the injuries that we have.
All right, Shane, I think we can relate here. Too many pork chops, that is a big concern in my house. I don't know about you.
Definitely, man.
And speaking of that, I bet to ask you this on the top of the show if you missed it on our socials there. We're sponsored now by HelloFresh. Did you get your HelloFresh yet, Shane?
Yes, sir, man. We whipped up some tonight, actually.
Ooh. Well, head on over to HelloFresh.com/SECMike14 to get yourself 14 free meals with free shipping. So, Hey, proud sponsor there, and get you some pork chops while you're at it. You know what?
Guys, 14 free meals. Come on now.
All right, so I buttered Shane up to do this next one. Let's kick it on down to Tuscaloosa. Where, my goodness, Shane, I hit on it in the last episode, but apparently Alabama's receiving core, the way this works now, and this is not just Alabama, this is across the SEC, but, these guys got GPS trackers and all this stuff, so they track all the players' speeds, and the director of sports science down there, Matt Corral, he noted that in 2019, Alabama had 4 receivers in their roster that would go on to become first-round picks, and he charted the speeds of those players in training camp in 2019, and he's charting the guys now, and they're 0.4 miles per hour faster right now in Alabama. And, if that does not keep you up at night, what will if you're a defensive coordinator? You know what?
Golly, man. Could you imagine wearing GPS? My damn Apple Watch is telling me to stand up every now and then. I'm glad it doesn't say how much my average speed is, because I'd be like 0.4 myself.
Well, the reason I bring that up because it sounds like the fastest guy in that core, Jameson Williams, the Ohio State transfer, is making an impact down there for the Crimson Tide. And then I hate to do it to you, buddy, but Henry To'oTo'o, he's already the signal caller, and I think it just goes to show what a huge impact he could have for Alabama's defense this year.
Yeah, I think we could have left that clip out, Mike. Jeez, just when I was in a good mood.
Yeah, just want to ask about Jameson Williams. How has he fit in with the offense so far, and what does he bring to the table?
Yeah, he's done great. You know, he's a really good player. He's got, really good speed. You can tell he's an experienced player. He's played at a high level against good competition. And he's very bright. So he's picked up on things and learned the offense very quickly. So we're encouraged with what he's done, and I'm sure he's going to make a really positive contribution to our team and, be a featured guy in some ways.
And Coach, a lot has been made about Henry To'oTo'o and his addition to the linebacker core, but what's kind of the growth track been for his counterpart, Christian Harris, both as a leader and as a player at the linebacker position?
Yeah, well, I think what Henry's done is let Christian play his more natural position, which is will and money. He can play Mike, and he's a very good Mike. But Henry's a signal caller. He's been a signal caller. Having experience at doing that is very helpful. It's less of a burden on other players on the team. I think it, helps everybody on the team when you have good communication, especially at the linebacker position. It's a little bit like the quarterback on offense. So, and Henry has done a really, really good job of that. Christian is capable of doing that, and we have every confidence that if he needs to do it, he can do it. But I think the combination of those two guys both being able to do it is very, very helpful, especially when it comes to making adjustments and fit and runs and being in the right spot and coverage. So it's been a very, very positive thing for us.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's just the state of college football, but how wild is it that you're bringing in a guy that didn't even play with you last year, and Coach Saban asked about him, and he said, well, hell, he's basically our quarterback of the defense, but I guess that's just the sign of the times in college football. You know what?
Yeah, that's good. Good for them. Good for him. Next. It's that name, image, likeness. What did they give you, Henry? Huh? Tell me. How much they paying you down there?
All right, next, let's skip it over down to Oxford, Shane, where, oh, man, Lane Kiffin got me fired up for, his comments here on Matt Corral, his outstanding quarterback there. And, of course, he's mentioned it several times. And like I said on the last show with our buddy JB, anytime and every time I mention Matt Corral, I get bombarded with Arkansas fans saying, well, hell, he just threw another interception. Matt Corral, if you take away the LSU game and the Arkansas game, which I know you can't do, but that's the goal they're trying to do is go into this season without those 6 turnover games. If not for those, I mean, he may be the best quarterback in the nation. And based on what Lane Kiffin had to say here, it sounds like Matt Corral is heading into the season just on fire.
Yeah, if you take out that damn toaster strudel I had this morning and that little bite of cobbler, I ate healthy today, Mike.
We're not talking about him a whole lot because we just kind of take him for granted and it's a given. But can you assess Matt Corral right now versus where he was last year at this time?
I think a big difference. I don't want to, rat poison him, but he's done a great job from a leadership standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, and the guy's accuracy is, was almost, I think I said, insane today. Some of the throws that were made, and it was at one point like a video game where there's not inaccurate throws. He just throws it to the guy because you hit the button. So good to see. I got to continue to develop and do it on game days.
Lane, one of the positions that looked unsettled heading into fall camp was the tight end position. We're going to talk to Chase Rogers here in a minute. How does Chase check the boxes on what you're looking for at that position?
Well, Chase has missed part of camp and has been limited for part of it injury-wise, and so He seems to be back close to full strength now. Had a really good day today. Scored a touchdown in the red zone there. So, he's done a really good job and, really does everything pretty well.
Just a follow-up to the tight end question. None of these guys look like Kenny Yeboah exactly. So, does that alter the way that maybe you look for production out of that position this season, or things that you would do with that position?
Well, I don't know. I think we got some very different guys. Hudson Wolf now, is the healthiest that he's been. Has done some good things the last couple of days and a very big target. So I don't know who's going to play there, and probably who plays will base off what calls that we make. I like to say on our offense that, we don't have a system that, the players have to fit into. We find the best players and develop a system into them.
All right, so hey, he's fired up about Matt Corral, and I also wanted to play those comments about the tight ends as well, just because with Kenny Yeboah off, well, he left early for the NFL, didn't get drafted, so obviously made a poor choice there. But what an interesting situation here for the Rebels here, because they've got Chase Rogers, who looks like he's going to start for tight end. He was a guy, I don't know if you remember that name, Shane, but he was committed to the Vols, and Butch Jones basically ran him off.
Yeah.
He had to go to, I can't even remember the school. I think it was like Louisiana Lafayette or something. And now he's found his way back to Ole Miss and doing well. And then the backup is Hudson Wolf, who was committed to Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee. So, oh my God, it's like Ole Miss's tight end core here is, both could have been Vols.
Golly, Mike, what are you doing? Are you just like looking for nuggets to piss me off? You say, it's Friday, man. I'm supposed to be in a good mood. Driving home from work for the weekend. And you just want to keep shitting on me. I mean, come on now.
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay. That's the last one, right?
Yes, sir. Last one. Let's skip it all day to Missouri, where it turns out old Eli Drinkwitz is a big fan of Ted Lasso. And I got to admit, Shay, when I see all these people on social media tweet it over and over and over and over on the same thing,
yeah,
I kind of get turned off by it. And I say, man, I'm not going to watch this garbage. Well, I watched Ted Lasso. It's pretty good. So I just want to get that out of the way. But Missouri really relying on these Tulsa transfers they got coming in, both at corner. Ollie Green, Caleb Evans. They've got the same position coach. And if not for these guys, Shane, they would be starting – They would have one sophomore and 2 or 3 freshmen back there at cornerback. So that gives you an indication of just how valuable these two Tulsa transfers are. And according to Eli Drinkwitz, these guys are fitting in great. And then he talks about giving the walk-on the scholarship, which we featured on the last show, and that's where he makes this Ted Lasso comment.
I think the last time we were asked about the two Tulsa transfers was the very first day.
Yeah.
You hadn't had a lot of chance to watch. After a couple weeks now, what have you seen from those guys in just the cornerback position?
Yeah, I think the whole defensive back room has played much better and continued to improve. We're asking them to do some stuff that's a lot different than what they've been doing here in the past. I think the mic keeps going in and out.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. That's been different in the past, and obviously zone coverage versus primarily being man team. And so, sometimes that takes a while. There's a lot of different coverage concepts that we're playing, and I think all of them have done a really nice job of grasping that. Caleb specifically is doing a really good job. Allie Green's done a great job the past 2 days of forcing turnovers, really being a guy that strikes at the football and being aggressive. So I like both those guys, but I think Ennis and Ish have had really good camps, and so has DJ Jackson, and Chris Abrams-Drain had a turnover today, had an interception today. So all these guys are competing, and I think bringing those guys in raise the level of competition and gets the best out of everybody.
Coach, I apologize if you've been asked about this. I was looking at the mic stuff. Taylor obviously got on scholarship yesterday, so kind of talk about that and what he did to earn that.
Richard Taylor, he was awarded a scholarship yesterday. Richard's a graduate already, going into his master's degree, a guy who's always here, always working, gives everything he can to the football program, has 2 jobs, and he earned it. We didn't give it to him. He earned it. got the right kind of character and grit, and embodies the 4 core values of our football team. And so it was something he earned and something we were happy to reward him with. And I know the team and him was excited.
Did you come up with the way how to announce it to him, or was it a team thing?
No, it was us. Well, yeah, after day 1 when we weren't, having the energy we had, so we passed out juice boxes to bring the juice, and then if somebody has a great play, we give it they get the juice, and so we just threw him a box that said he had scholarship juice. So it's kind of corny, Ted Lasso-ish probably.
Man, I'll tell you, Lasso's got some damn quotes, Mike.
He does, and so does Eli. So I mean, they're kind of like 2 peas in a pod. You know what?
Oh yeah. When it comes to locker rooms, I like them like my mother's bathing suits. I only want to see them in one piece.
I'm surprised old Eli didn't drop that one on us. You know what?
Oh God, there's plenty of season left, Mike.
Well, hey brother, that's all I got on this episode. Just wanted to finish strong with a solid show, and I'm happy that we were able to touch on all 14 SEC teams. But you got anything before we head out of here?
No, that's some good pod juice today, Mike. I'm telling you what. No, I tell you what, man. This has been a great. We're getting close, buddy. Here in the next week or so, we're going to start actually game prepping. So that's right around the corner.
Yeah, without a doubt, and we're going to have lots of guests lining up. I'm starting to understand how to do video editing, so that's freeing up my time a little bit. I've reached out to a number of people, so get prepared for a lot of guests coming up, a lot of season previews, a lot of big ideas coming for the podcast this season. I can't wait for it, and can't wait to share it with all the listeners. You know what?
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm pumped.
Well, all right, buddy. Appreciate you hopping on the line. Appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Vols.